Hey, it's your boy Ike with Create or Die. Welcome. Today's episode, let me tell you, it's a good one. That's right. We've got my boy Trevor returning for another episode. Trevor and I, we exchange ideas back and forth. We talk about new technologies, entertainment, the what, the how, the who, the when, all the good stuff. So get ready, buckle up, and let us know what you think. Trevor, welcome back to the program. It's been too long. I was looking back at my episode list, and it's we skipped February. There was a Trevor drought in February. It was January was the last time.
Both of us, I don't know. Both of us have birthdays in February, and it was just busy. There was lots going on. So, but at the same time, I've been listening, and it's been fun to hear what you've been creating and doing, and kind of keep up with it all. And you have created so much in that time, and I've been really enjoying your YouTube shorts and various tutorials as well. I got to get on there and help out and contribute. So it's one of those things that's on my list.
I appreciate it. Yeah. And, you're always welcome, but no pressure either, because I know you're in a foreign land, and it's not as foreign as it was maybe a year and a half ago to you, but but I'm sure there's new things that come up all the time. You've been through taxes now a couple of times maybe, and so that's not as scary, hopefully. And
no, it still is. It still is. This tax season is finally like the one that really is going to hit hard, and I get more of like what it really is to face British tax plus the U.S. tax. And
oh yeah, okay.
And so it's gonna hammer me pretty hard. I was starting to calculate that out just the other day, and we'll see. I want to see how well my calculation is to how it truly turns out, and with the people I'm working with. And we'll see how close my estimate was on my own versus what the reality is. So,
well, I hope it shakes out okay. I didn't mean to bring up a sore subject right here at the.
No, it's all part of the business of doing this, but yeah, no, I hopefully it doesn't hit too hard, but it should be. I've been preparing for it, so it's one of those things. So yeah. But anyways, on the other notes, the Oscars were just the other day, and
I didn't really watch it. I've heard some of what happened, but what are your thoughts?
So, my first time chatting with you, I talked to you about growing up with a father that filmmaker, documentarian. So we watched the Academy Awards annually. Just because that was kind of a tradition and a deep interest and a deep thing in my household. And so I have very fond memories of these things. We'd have Oscar parties where we would have lots of food and some friends over, typically colleagues of my father or other things. And then we would also play games, and we would take bets, not like gambling, but we would basically take the nominations and then choose ours, who was going to win, and predict who was going to win. And then the one that had the most predictions correct or whatever would win prizes and other things. Right. So it was a big party.
Oh, that's fun. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so, but in the recent years, it just hasn't been the same, and hasn't been, I think as we've kind of left the nest, it's been harder to kind of keep up as a tradition, but overall, I know I still chat with my dad about the nominations and his predictions and stuff because it's something that's fun. But I bring it up because I haven't seen all the nominations on the list this year.
Yeah, me either.
It was interesting to see the results. I didn't stay awake to watch it from where I'm at because it was just going to be too late. But to wake up and to see the results, it was kind of like, oh, everything, everywhere, all at once is like taking the whole gamut. And
did that end up winning Best Picture?
Yeah. So that won. That almost won. I think everything in every category it was in. So
Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah.
I know Best Actor went to Brendan Fraser for The Whale.
Yeah.
And then
it had most. And honestly, it came away with almost everything.
Wow. I haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it. It's been on my list.
Yeah, me too.
The only reason I haven't seen it mostly is because wife and kids, they have other interests, and that's not on their list of what they want to watch and do. And there's only so much time in the day. And okay, unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
I often, if I'm going to watch something, I'm watching it on my phone in my bed in the late hours as I'm about to fall asleep.
And do you drop the phone on your face ever? Because that happens to me.
Yes. No, I do get tired sometimes, and that's when but I actually, one time in a checkout line in the States, I was in the United States, like I was at, I don't know, Target or it was probably Walmart.
Yeah.
They had one of these neck,
nice
holders with the phone, and it was, the picture on it said, you could like have it, you don't hands free, hold your phone in front of your face and I got one of those for a while, and had that so I'd be in bed with this thing and I didn't have to hold it. So embarrassingly, yeah.
Yeah, no, I like it.
I got through all of Vikings on the History Channel that way. I'm watching every season.
Sweet.
Unpopular opinion. I actually enjoy watching it on my phone versus. I mean, I prefer the cinematic experience, but
yeah, no, that's the phone's for what it is. Pretty amazing experience, really. Like the sizes and quality of the screen, the sound is, pretty groundbreaking for what it is. Again, obviously, and if you had like nice wireless headphones, it's that much better. Yeah,
exactly, and that's how I have to do it. So yeah, that's how I get up on my things. But I really want to see The Whale, and I really want to see Everything Everywhere All at Once, and a few of the other categories. I'm a big score. I like the score as well. One quick thing, animation, of course, because I love animation, all this stuff. I'm not sure if I'm incorrect, but I think this is the first time stop motion animation feature has won the best animated feature.
Is that what got it? Was it Pinocchio?
It was Del Toro's Pinocchio, which I was like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I was grateful for that. In the past, I have sometimes been mad that I feel like sometimes the Academy doesn't necessarily get it right. I'm not the expert, but I like when we celebrate amazing advancements in cinematic feats, and we champion that versus what might be trendy or popular or political or all these things. And so
or Pixar usually wins, so just pick them.
Yeah. Or Disney, Pixar and Disney usually. But I would have been really upset if they did that over top of the Sony Spider-Man multiverse one, that one, right? And it won because it was groundbreaking. And look what it's done for animation in the future here. I'm really looking forward to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that's coming out. I don't know if you've seen that.
Is it for a feature or for a series?
This is an animated feature.
Okay.
It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's called Mutant Mayhem. Sweet. Go look up the trailer. Dropped this last week.
Okay, I'll check it
out. What I love about it is it's in that same style as kind of the Spider-Man Into the Multiverse, right? And it has the turtles are actually very, very much teenagers versus anything else. And so it feels natural, it feels real, and it's nostalgic. I grew up on that. So yeah.
Yeah.
A few other things that, talking about like shows and things, I don't know if you ever heard of or watched Clone High, but
sounds familiar, but I don't. Yeah,
it was like an MTV or something show that came out. It was a cartoon, and it had basically, it's like taking these very famous people like Abraham Lincoln, JFK, Cleopatra, Joan of Arc, and they have taken their DNA and they've cloned them, and now they're growing up and they're in high school, and it's stories of these clones of these famous people in high school. It's kind of fun. Well, I enjoyed it. It was only like 2 seasons or something like that, and then it kind of went away. But apparently, I heard rumor that they're bringing it back. So that's one thing to look forward to. I've been enjoying the new season of Mandalorian 3.
Yeah, and I've been trying to get my family together to see the second episode. Still haven't seen it, but I like the first one.
No spoilers.
So, no spoilers.
I really enjoy it. What I enjoy is the practical effects and the practical things. Are you a fan of H.G. Wells' Time Machine? Did you ever watch?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. From 1960s or whatever.
Yeah. So you know, there's a creature that kind of reminds me of a Morlock.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
All right.
And so,
all right.
It doesn't necessarily look like a Morlock.
Yeah.
Exactly. But to me, it had some vibes. And so, anyways, very, very cool things. But
was it you I was talking to about the first episode where we kind of wish they would have gone with the original artwork for that big sea creature that attacked the
yes.
Mandalorians?
And I like with the beak and stuff. I enjoyed the beak a little more, I think, than the crocodile jaws. But so the concept art at the end is like just as fun to watch as the rest of it. I'm always into that concept art. I think that's amazing. So.
Oh, agree. Those are some of the favorite books to purchase. Some of the art of books.
Yeah.
All the shows.
Speaking of art of, my wife just got this art of book for Hogwarts Legacy. So we're all in entertainment right now. We might as well continue, but Hogwarts Legacy has come out. I don't know if you've seen gameplay.
Yeah, I've seen little clips online, for the game. Yeah.
So my wife was like, we should really get that game. It's like, because we have these girls right at the age, and they loved Harry Potter and all that stuff, and they're like, a big school, the half-term break's coming up. We should consider just like surprising them with it or something. And I was like, I don't know. But in the end, we were able to take some gift money we were given and and kind of work on that. And so we did it. And I must say that game is incredible. And it
awesome.
If ever you wanted to immerse yourself deeper into how you envisioned that world and it surpasses, I think, all expectations, not just hopes and it surpasses even hopes. It's just amazing. So I couldn't gush more about it, to tell you the truth. I think it's remarkable. And in fact, I heard rumor that it did so well despite, I think, some cancel culture and some things around it.
Right. Yeah.
It completely demolished expectations, and that they've this is rumor again. I think it's true, but they're producing another one, so they're going to have another game come out, and they're also going to do a series involved that's going to be on HBO.
Oh, nice.
So more game, more series, and actual
more of the Wizarding World coming out, huh? So let me ask you: is it like online game where you're playing with others and you run into?
So right now, I don't think they've added too much of that feature yet.
Yeah.
I would imagine they might.
Yeah.
It looks like they have some things set up so that you can have that expansion and that extension of
And do you play
extra
your own
objects and
avatar,
extra.
or are you playing like Hermione or Harry?
No, yeah,
Oh,
you build your own avatar,
okay,
and
cool.
you build. I mean, they have a set of what you can
Yeah,
do, but it's actually really extensive, and so
cool.
um, you know, you can customize yourself pretty well. And I think they're going to have even more customizations you can purchase, because I think that's how they get you, is they first get you in the door, then they add some more. Hey,
Yeah, here's some DLC.
get these special things for another like $9,
Yeah,
$14. Upgrade this and get
why
another
not?
store. Yeah, why
Are
not?
you
Why
a
not?
true Harry Potter fan or not?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So if you
I'm
are, you'll buy it, right? That's what they're implying there.
Yeah, my aunt, who was a school teacher, she got me for Christmas one year. I was in high school at the time, and the first three books had come out already. So like
Yeah.
the first three were out, and she said, "This is a sensational book. My kids at school read it. It's fun. I thought you of all people would love this." So she gave me the first three books as a gift.
Yeah. Yeah.
I started reading them, and then I was the fourth book came out like a year after that, or the summer after that, and I was in it to win it for good. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome.
I've been a big fan since, and
Yeah.
that's one thing. So I've really enjoyed that, and I would suggest if ever if you're on the edge or to the fence of this,
Yeah.
you should just, I'm telling you, tip
Get
yourself
that game,
over,
huh?
get
Okay.
that game. It's 100% worth it.
Sweet.
So yeah,
Yeah, I'll have to plant the seed. We have a couple kids with birthdays coming up still here in the
it,
near future. Like, oh, have you heard of that game? And then maybe can kill two birds with one stone. Oh, look what you got for your birthday, a game that I can play. Great.
there you go. But how about for you? Is there any other shows, entertainment things at this point? Games?
Yeah, no. To hear you kind of go off about Harry Potter, that reminded me about just I don't know, 20 years ago, before that was around the time Harry Potter movies started coming out and different things. But a little before that, I remember thinking, you've got Star Wars, this universe, and there's never going to be anything like it. Like there's never going to be a universe that someone creates that can come anywhere close to what George Lucas has created with Star Wars. But I've been proven wrong on several
Yeah,
occasions now. It's exciting, and I think it probably has a lot to do with what we'll talk about here in a minute. Just kind of like the democratization of tools and the barrier to entry to create things.
yeah,
But yeah, Harry Potter is a good example of something that rivals the Star Wars universe.
right.
Obviously, Lord of the Rings, Middle Earth, predated Harry Potter, but the way that they've, done a good job with at least those first Lord of the Rings films, and I
Yeah,
would argue the Rings of Power series on Amazon Prime.
I was, I was,
Yeah,
yeah. I've been really impressed with that.
yeah,
I'm into it.
yeah.
I thought that they filmed all. I was under the impression with how much the money they spent
Oh yeah,
that they filmed like it all and were
yeah,
planning to release it all, but
yeah.
I
I
was
don't
I
think
was
so.
mistaken.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
that's
insane
exciting.
how
That
much they.
I think it did get greenlit for a second season
Yeah,
at least, so that's
yeah.
awesome. Another one that I haven't seen a trailer for it, but I've seen like a poster, Spider-Man Noir.
Oh yeah, I think I heard a little
Yeah,
bit about that. But I need to look into that more.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I don't even know if it's animated or if it's live action. I think it's going to Amazon Prime as well, but that
that
seems like
looks
a
fun.
pretty cool. It's kind of like
Uh,
a steampunk Spider-Man a little bit.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I love the noir. I love that
yeah.
era of stuff. So yeah.
And then I don't know if you watch Willow, the series on Disney.
I have. Let me get your
Did
take
you watch
first.
the whole thing or just first episode or what?
We got several episodes and I haven't finished
Okay.
it. It's been.
Okay.
But what about you?
Yeah, so the very first episode, I was like, "Oh man, they ruined it! I can't believe it!"
Okay. Okay.
And I
Okay.
was definitely,
Similar feelings.
yeah, a
Okay.
little down on it. And I'm like, getting a little too PC here, or predictable in other
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know if I was just in the right mood, but like the second or third episode just really I thought was great, and I can't remember the names, all their names, but
Yeah.
kind of the big Indian Asian guy,
Yeah.
fighter
No, he's
guy.
cool.
Yeah, I started to really like some of his humor, and then I liked how they kind of didn't take themselves too seriously, and then I was reminded about the original, Willow, and
Yeah.
you look
Which
at
was fantastic.
you look at Mad Mardigan. I mean, he was all over the place with his dialogue and not taking things seriously, and then you had the brownies that were pretty silly. And so, I started to appreciate that. Yeah, they're doing some kind of silly things, or making, fun of themselves a little bit, and it grew on me. So I ended up really liking it in the end.
Well, thanks. Yeah, no, that's good. You give me hope to finish it then, because I mean, I started it and I went in with the whole idea that I was like, even if this really is terrible, I'm still gonna love it because I love Willow. And then I kind of got into it and I was like, I don't like some of the acting. I don't like some, and then it just slowly. It's not. I want to finish it, but it just slowly kind of lost a little momentum in my time, and I was like pick and choose, and so. Sure. But when it was first released and the trailer and stuff, I was so hyped, and it looks so magical, and I bet it gets really good towards the end. And I somewhat wish that some of these. My wife and I were just having this conversation too, that I really like Mandalorian because it's 30 minutes long. I really like, in most case episodes were only like half an hour.
Yeah.
And we were watching a few other movies where it's like 2 hours and 10 minutes. And we're sitting here going, why isn't it a short movie? Or why isn't it, why isn't it just an hour and a half? This could have been, in some cases we were like, this could have been a short. This could have been a 30-minute short.
Producers are getting paid by the minute or something.
Yeah, no, for real. But it's like you got to destroy your babies sometimes, and just kind of keep the most the best content, the best nuggets, the best storyline, and just get rid of the noise and the fluff, and just kind of keep it concise. So in some cases, I feel like that can go with some of these series too, similar to
totally agree. Totally agree.
But anyways,
cool.
So, didn't mean to derail on that, but
no derailing here.
But no, that gives me hope. I want to finish Willow. So thank you for helping me.
But I definitely was pretty disappointed initially, but then I'm like, nothing else to watch. I'll just watch this. And there was other things, but I had already promised my wife or my daughter that I wait for you on this, but that one was one where I could just do it myself. So, but okay. So switching gears, AI, that's something that we continue to, wrestle with as creatives and concern. Is it going to take our job?
Yeah. What's your hot take since it's come out now that, we've kind of lived around it some more? I've had a lot of, I love watching forums and other feeds that I have to chat about it. Love seeing memes about it. I love seeing what people's reactions are on every social platform there is.
Yeah.
I'm not this in my opinion, I'm not here to necessarily discuss it so much as to what it is, where it's come from, where it's necessarily going, but I'm just curious as to what your hot take on it is at this point with the current landscape, and what is working, what is not working, what are some of the rumors or voices and opinions you hear from your end? I'm just curious.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, definitely. It's hard to go a day without hearing something about it. Someone's figured out a new way to leverage it for whatever it is they're doing. My kids come home from school and talk about how their teacher said they're not allowed to use it for their homework and threaten them like, we'll know if you did or whatever. Speaking of like a chat GPT, one thing that, cause I had come to terms, like initially you get that knee jerk reaction with any new technology, like, will this, so now what I do isn't special. Is that what you're trying to tell me? And so that's kind of the initial knee-jerk reaction. But then the more I learned about it and I played with Midjourney and even subscribed to it for 3 or 4 months, found that I only used it a couple times the first month and then just supported them for a few months without using it.
Yeah.
And then recently just discontinued my membership, not because I don't think there's a place for it. I just didn't find myself needing it for whatever it is I was working on. But yeah, I definitely appreciated like how I could tweak the prompts, and mine was more about, I want to get photographic, almost reference of time periods. Like there's this potential children's book that I might work on at some point where it's supposed to take place in like, 14th century Holland or whatever. Oh, okay. And so, I could go and try to Google and find, you're not going to find any photographs obviously from that time period, but some pieces of art or whatever. But to be able to tell the AI like, hey, create me an image of a girl and a boy sitting in a kitchen in, 14th century Holland, and then I described like what they were doing, and I was pretty impressed with what it came back to me with
to help you start.
Yeah, where it's like this is like photo reference that would take me forever to try to track down in Google, but here the machine can do it in 20 seconds, and then I can use that as inspiration to do something totally different for that. And so that's how I picture myself using that. So that was my initial kind of world, and something where it's like not derivative of someone else's existing artwork. Like that's something I'm sensitive to, and I agree that people should be compensated and
no, that's ethical, and
and so that's sense. Where I'm like, if you create something with prompts and you try to pawn that off as a piece of artwork, whether you disclose that it came from AI or not, it's pretty hard to be certain that it's not stealing from others. But then there's been just this past week or two some headlines coming out about AI animation, and it's like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? They're going to be taking our animation jobs too. But I just, before jumping on this podcast with you, I watched YouTube with Aaron Blaise, Disney animator, where he was kind of had the title, AI art is going to steal my job, ? Or whatever. And the way he looked at it is he's like, this is essentially the same thing that we've been doing for years, just getting video reference of what it is you want to create. And as traditional animators rotoscoping, or maybe you're not rotoscoping, you're just using it real closely for reference, for timing. But essentially you're just applying a 2D hand-drawn look to what you've, and basically he's saying that in his opinion, it's not really AI animation, it's an AI filter for footage, which is something we've been seeing for a long time, and he compared it to like Avatar, essentially you're capturing those performances and you're applying this CG character to it, but the computer isn't doing the animation. It's capturing the animation. And so he talked about it being similar to what he experienced when CG first started creeping into animation back in the 90s. They used it for Beauty and the Beast dance scene, and it was a lot of people felt like you were cheating and then to have people coming into the animation industry who couldn't draw, it's like, wait a minute, that was the prerequisite. You had to be able to draw to be an animator, and now that's not the case. But he's like you and I, we've done 3D and embraced technology as well. It's like same thing with AI. If you embrace it and learn it, you can find ways to leverage it to make what you're creating better. So my last point on it before I take a breath and let you respond, is he said, he wonders, and I'm sure it will be possible if it isn't already, is what if he took his hand drawn or even, flatly rendered animations, whether, let's say it was hand drawn or 3D animated, and then you use the AI to put lighting effects on it and shadows and different things, but you're still art directing it and it's built off of something you created. You're not pulling from other people's art styles to generate this filter and in some ways kind of stealing it. And so he said, even back when he was working at Disney in the 90s, it was all about whatever you can do to speed up the process and get the results, we would adopt it. And that he just, and I agree that this is just one of those things where embrace the technology and actually you'll find that it will create more jobs and it will just raise the bar for creativity and what's possible.
No, I like your last point. The hot buzz I was hearing a lot too this recently was Corridor
Crew.
Yeah. They like did this animation, it was like rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, and that's the one that Aaron Blaze was referring to.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yeah, that was in that style of like the anime / Castlevania Netflix series, stuff like that. And what's incredible is, one, how fast they were able to just feed stuff into the system and then get this amazing result straight into film.
Yeah.
But two, the absolute outrage of everything. And I get it.
Yeah.
But if you flip it, like what you're saying is, what if you did have more jobs open up, and what if you fed it a style that somebody is doing that at a production studio that says, hey, look, we've got this artist that is doing, and we're feeding all this imagery and backgrounds and character styles and faces and everything into the system for the computer to generate and then film this and then maybe even at the end have an extra touch of polish from other animators that clean it up so it doesn't necessarily have the constant almost boil effect of different images interlacing. I think that would be like such a great way to speed up. And I'm not always a fan of necessarily like speeding up the production of stuff, but I think it's important because, what I'm trying to say is it's nice to have that speed or that tool that could make certain things easier, similar to like what you're saying with Beauty and the Beast. And how, in a way, to get some of that scene in that shot of them dancing and some of that stuff, But I do see, and yes, there are people I'm hearing all the time, like different places and different things of like different directors or people thinking, oh, we could probably just use these AI tools now and downscale some of our overhead and I'll just type up a brochure. We don't need we'll just use Chat GPT and we don't need all these writers or other things like that. But I hear a lot as well from some of the forums and some of the things I'm reading, just how much people are hating or are already throwing like eggs on advertisement and other things that they feel like, oh, this is completely built using AI. Or this somebody was looking at an ad and they were pretty sure that this digital web ad was completely comped up through AI, and like a lot of the the text of the selling points of the text seemed as if they weren't even altered. It was just straight from a bot, right?
Sure.
And it's interesting. I've used Chat GPT once or twice just to get a feel for it because I do think it's really important for all creatives to at least get a sense, get their hands a little wet with it, just to know, because it is going to be here to stay, I think, and
right.
And you might as well get comfortable with some of the stuff and maybe learn how to manipulate it and use it and make it so that you can speed up your ideas or your pitches, but then heavily alter them.
Yeah.
So,
or at the very least, like, no, keep your friends close and your enemies closer type of thing. So like, if AI is your enemy, know it really well so that when you're trying to sell your services as a, bespoke artist, you can say, this is what you're getting from me that AI isn't offering you. And if you don't really know how it works, you're going to, kind of be found out or just parrot things that the other people that don't know anything about it are saying, and you'll be proven wrong. But
good point. And it still, I think, will always have to, well, for the immediate future, we still just need the human touch in the end. And until AI completely you can't tell the difference. I don't think our jobs are necessarily at stake. So
and I don't think they ever will be. I mean, that's just
one reason. One reason I say this too is because recently a new plugin came in for After Effects, and I work in After Effects a lot. It's called Klutz GPT. So same with the Chat GPT. It helps you to write some more like AE scripts and different things and tools within After Effects directly without having to go out, do it, try to plug it in and run the script. You can just run the script straight from it. However, people have already said it's really buggy, and it does, and it can. What I like is that it, if an error pops up, you can even just copy and paste the error into it, and it immediately spits it back out and helps you solve things, which can be helpful, especially when you're hitting errors you've never seen before. So I can see it being a useful tool and a resource to just ask, what is this error? What does it mean? Versus having to jump out, go into Google, go into Slack and talk to somebody or whatever and say, hey, do you know what this error means? So I think that's nice. And better yet, it's for free. It's name your own price, but it is, it has you have to look at the tiny script. I noticed when I watched it closer that you can get it set up, you can download it, get the thing into the system for free, but then as you're going, obviously there's like a subscription to it where it's kind of like a pay as you go or a set yourself up for like an annual, whatever, just because of how many times you might use it and it's spitting stuff back out. You've got to pay a little bit, for that service. So in the end, it's not fully free, but it's kind of cool. But the other thing is that people are saying it is a little bit buggy where they made the joke like 60% of the time it works every time. So you may or may not get what you want when you're trying to ask it for questions, right? So maybe it still needs some improvement and some enhancements, but I think all of it does. So,
and I think there's a lot of people that are like down on AI, in general, artists and stuff, that I would never be caught dead using AI. What's your problem? But then they're jumping into Photoshop and using the auto replace background tools and, stuff that is using AI. They're just not calling it AI. Or the rotoscope, like the keying tools, like to get the hair clipped out faster. That's all AI. Yeah.
Did you see? I just found this out because I'm more old school. When I grew up on Adobe back in the day, I mean, I started in like Photoshop 9, And you probably, I don't know, when did you start, but
my first copy that I purchased while going to college was Photoshop 4, but in high school I was using Photoshop 2, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I started in high school. I think it was Photoshop 9 or something in there. Yeah. And then when I was finally in college, it was like CS2. And then eventually I was like really on the cusp of CS3 and going on. And so, but yeah, it's crazy. Anyways, so, but now what I wanted to get at was I just saw that in Photoshop, you can get this thing where it's like not the content aware fill, it's the content aware object. And then they have a pin that does this content aware object pen, and you can, like for logos and for whatever else. And you just click and it like outlines it, and you don't have to like, oh my gosh, it's so easy these days.
It is
so easy. You don't have to get out there and like pin it yourself. You can just 2-3 clicks, you're done. It's crazy. So
and we got no problems with using those tools as designers or whatever. And I used to think that, I can't use stock illustration or stock photography or stock anything because then it's not truly mine. I'm not giving, or a template for like a website or whatever. I would be like, oh man, we can't do that. But then I realized you're essentially just recreating the wheel every time, and it's not fair to the client to charge them for that process. So why don't you start it, or build on the shoulders of giants, if you will, if you talk about MX ideas, and just say, okay, now that we're starting with a template, we can spend that much more time on really customizing this thing to really tailor it. The basics, the frame of the car and everything is already built. Now we can just really deck out the trim or whatever. So I'm going to say, another cool AI thing that would probably be helpful to you if you haven't learned it yet. I think I saw a little TikTok tip on it. Was when you're in Premiere and you have a audio clip for some background music, and it's only so long, and you can go in there and cut it up and piece it back together. Remix. But the remix, So you did that.
That's been around for a little bit, and I love it. They've recently, they had the remix in Audition for a long time. And then it wasn't until like the last 1 or 2 updates to Premiere that they've added it inside Premiere, so you don't even have to go outside into Audition or anything else. That's wonderful. I still kind of like the Audition because it has a little extra. Like the one in Premiere, you can give it you can say, okay, look, I want it to be, let's say 5 minutes in length, or let's say 1.5 minutes. And, and it does its best and it adjusts it to that, and then you're done, right? But then if you try to tweak, like it has some other advanced sliders and settings, so you can kind of like, give it more variation, give it less repetition, stuff like that. Love all that. That's wonderful. But if you need to do some extra fine tuning and some other things, Audition does it pretty well too. And I mean, it does take a little more chops and a little more give and go. And I do like that Premiere is, and for most, I'm going to say 90% of the time, I can just do it in Premiere and use those sliders and those advanced little pieces without even having to go in and chop it up. But if I'm not getting the result I want, I still jump into Audition.
Go to Audition. Okay. No, I was late to the party on that one. So that was,
I'm glad. I should have told you sooner. Or maybe I should have shared some nuggets with you because
only someone completely clueless would not realize that was there. So I'm not going to insult his intelligence by even bringing it up.
We should start a new thing where it's like we have to tell each other, we have to share one thing at least a month. That we feel is, hey, did you know? It's like did you know? And see if we can't teach each other some new tricks.
No, I think we'll probably be surprised that we'll probably learn more from each other than we think we might. Because it's crazy how, you can just be doing something a certain way in a certain program for so long, and you've, it's plenty fast for you. So you just keep doing it that way and don't even think that there could be an even faster way. Or
no, the only way I found out about that, I actually found out about that once in I think Film Riot tutorial on YouTube or something else. Might have been him. It might have been something else, but I wouldn't have known otherwise, I think, for a long time. And then, of course, I started editing that way. And then whenever I found other people doing it in the most laborious, hard way, I would be like, "Hey, here's Remix. Like,
check that out.
Watch what it will do for you." You know.
Well, I think you've even mentioned to me in passing, like, "Oh, I'll just remix that." Or something. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, he must have some super magic, sweet, music producing skills that I'm not privy to. But okay, you remix that, And
there were a few times even I get calls from our CEO, to say this is before to just be like, hey, what was that? How did It was either I'd sometimes even get it from our head of marketing and other things too. But I get a little tap on the shoulder. Hey, can you remind me what you did? How do you use this? I'm doing something myself. And I'd be like, oh yeah, it's under here. It's under this menu. There you go. And they'd be like, oh, thank you. And then a month or two later, I'd still get a call. Hey, where was that thing again? Yeah. And I'm like, that's what I'm here for.
Right. Well, sweet. That's awesome. So, cool. So AI, there you go. I think we're both agree that there are some ethics to how to use it, but at the same time, none of us are completely AI free. We're all using it somewhere.
And lots of strong opinions, but just get your feet wet, get used to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere. And worst case scenario, if you're just using it to know your enemy, then that's the start.
Yeah.
On to fonts. I think we've talked about that recently, creating custom fonts. I mentioned, and it's like 3 years old, but this plugin for Illustrator, I think it started out as a Kickstarter. It's called Font Self.
Yeah.
And I've found it to be super slick way to, use those drawing tools in Illustrator that we're, as longtime Adobe users are comfortable with, and then just convert those to actual working open type fonts. So it's pretty cool. What do you have to add to the font conversation?
Mostly that I think it's fun. I love typography, have for obviously a long time, but I was curious because you've played with this more than I have. Can it do beyond what you may illustrate in Illustrator? Can it do any good like custom lettering or brush stroke kind of type things as well? Is there a way to get that nice and set into its parameters to still punch out something that might have a more hand lettering feel or not? I'm curious.
Yeah, no, it totally can. And there's I just purchased the option that's just for Illustrator. So it's going to be more vector.
Under vector brushes.
Yeah. But they have, a version that's, $80 instead of $40 or whatever that gives the plugin for Photoshop as well. So you can use bitmap fonts. So stuff that's, really organic, filling, watercolory, ink, different opacities, all that goodness. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So just for a little bit of an upgrade, can do both then.
Yeah.
Okay. So, very, very cool. So what are the font combinations that work, and what are the ones that don't, or what are your favorite fonts and typefaces?
Yeah, no, great question. I've never been I've taken some design 101 classes at the community college, and we touched on typography, but I've never taken extensive training on typography and why this, sans serif font pairs better with this serif font than another one. It's just been kind of like, if I think it looks good, then it's subjective, and here you go. Someone tell me they don't like it or whatever.
Right.
But some of my just favorite fonts, because I think you or typefaces, are Gotham as a sans serif, and then
absolutely.
I don't even know if this is. I haven't looked into it. I think it's an Adobe font, but I don't know how official it is. But it's one I use for my Create or Die brand stuff, called Amboy.
I don't think I've heard of this one. It's similar to the one behind you?
It's similar, yeah. No, I mean, that's pretty. It's like if you look at my thumbnails for YouTube or something, that's the font I'm using when I'm writing out the titles or whatever, and then I add like a ridiculous dark shadow behind it and stuff. But I just like the energy behind that. And then, another old school font that I think is kind of making a comeback that I like is Cooper Black. All of our fonts from the 80s, I mean, it seemed like 90% of advertising use that Cooper font. I think logo for Alf or t-shirts that you would see back, it was all Cooper. And then anything from House Industries, I like their brand. I like their style. So that's a little bit about me and my typeface.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Gotham. Big fan of a couple others. I love some of the ones that are always nice and easy, like Open Sans and Sophia's and all these others. But I also love Museo. I've loved Eurostyle. Yeah. And there's some good ones, some clean ones out there. So cool. Good to know. But one thing I want to know, I'm kind of jumping around here. So I'm really into several apps for the iPad and creative tools on the iPad. Told you I've been loving TuneSquid. I love Calipeg as well, which had some updates. And it's kind of it's such a struggle for me. I think still TuneSquid is kind of may have a bit more of interface I'm enjoying more than the others, but I'm getting more into Nomad Sculpt and trying to learn the ways of that. Great updates to Procreate, things like that. And Procreate is just phenomenal. I don't love animating in Procreate at all.
Right. Agreed.
I mean, the only reason is you can get. I think some people do it mostly for some of the brushes and some of the customized ways you can do that,
or they just haven't been introduced to some of these other ones.
Yeah, exactly. Because both TuneSquid and Calipeg can just do amazing things with their brushes too. So, so that's what makes me wonder, because ultimately, animating in Procreate just is such a headache compared to trying to do it in these other tools. Yeah. But beyond even say animation or other things, are there any other new ones or things that have popped up since we've discussed or started discussing, or you started this podcast, that need mentioning? I'm just, I don't know if new ones have popped up or if updates have popped up that have made it just like better. Because remember, you couldn't always export from Nomad Sculpt like your UVs and your other things to just bring into Procreate and start paying, but now you can. But so despite some updates, whether there are updates or if there's completely new apps out there that have been developed that are necessary for creating, I want to know. Yeah.
So, I want to be a fan of Forger from Maxon. They bought that, and then obviously they own ZBrush now. So, they should be able to just knock that out of the park and dethrone Nomad. But man, Nomad, that's all they're focusing on, I guess. And they're just wiping the floor with Forger. Like, I liked that Forger has they've added some traditional kind of modeling tools. So it's harder in Nomad to get real simple, clean geometry and do stuff with it like you would with normal box modeling, which I think Forger is starting to get there. But then their first, I remember kind of telling you, oh, they've added this, you check it out. But then it was super buggy and I almost broke my iPad over it. No, just kidding. But then they fixed some of those things, but then it's still just not. Yeah, I'm just not liking it yet. But I'm believing. I can picture, like, I forget his name, but like the inventor of ZBrush is just in his basement, just cranking on something, and one of these days he's just gonna release ZBrush mobile or whatever, and it's just gonna be amazing. And that's what I'm hoping for. But
have you ever done? So I'm a little new to it. I've been doing it mostly, kind of with my kids from time to time in front of the TV, or I've been doing it at like church and things like that, where I'm just sitting down and as I'm listening to something, I'm kind of in Nomad Sculpt playing and tinkering around. But I'm still so new to it. I'm slower, whereas I could get into like Gravity Sketch inside VR and start doing something and then bring it into Blender or bring it into something. So with that said, do you do that? Do you ever do VR stuff too? Do you do like Gravity Sketch or Quill or some of the other, and then bring it into another software, say Blender or Cinema or something to finish it off? Or
so early on, 2016, 2017, I was using PCs at the time, and it was before the Quest 2, so I had like the Rift that would plug into the computer, and it could really use those programs. And then, since kind of committing to Apple again, they don't offer that connection, and so I noticed that some of those.
There's a hack. There is a hack.
Is there? Yeah. Okay, send me the deets.
I'll send you the deets. Yeah.
Okay. Because
everybody hacks stuff. I mean, come on.
Good. Because so I've because of that just been like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna wait till Apple releases their VR AR headset, which is supposed to be this year sometime. But I just love the idea of doing that, because I've seen some tutorials from the past year or two, people using Gravity Sketch and getting in there, and you're inside of your model and you're able to do these things that would just be super cumbersome to do with a mouse or with a stylus on an iPad or whatever. It's just that's the best process.
Some people do it because they're faster at it too, I think, than and then they can polish it with give it the final polish in the computer. But,
so I love that. And then they, speaking of a couple of other iPad apps, I think I may have mentioned before, sticking to 3D Cozy Blanket. Is the retopology. So, I used it when it first came out, paid the $80 or whatever. It's pretty expensive.
80?
Yeah. But it's like a lifetime, one-time thing. And I'm like, okay, well, and they've improved it. But now a lot of the things that I would have spent a ton of time retopologizing, like the new ZBrush automatic retopology tools, are so good that you can just do it in a couple clicks rather than manually retopologing stuff. Another app I've mentioned on this program really early on is Assembly. It's a vector tool. Are you familiar with that at all?
No.
Yeah, so it's
I'm gonna write this one down.
Assembly, and I'm not gonna be able to really show it, but it's the best art tool for the phone, even. Like just the way that you can drag and drop these different shapes, and then use like Pathfinder commands to subtract them. And the way that they, the default magnet tools that help keep things aligned are great. And then if you want to have full control, you can double click inside and get point level mode stuff.
Nice.
Change up the tangents, do whatever. And so I've created quite a few little illustrations that just by using that process of forcing myself to use basic shapes has created designs that I wouldn't otherwise come up with.
Yeah.
And it feels plenty comfortable on the phone. And because it's like a cloud app, you can pick up the same project from your iPad to your phone. And so that's the one I play with at church or whatever if I'm trying not to fall asleep. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I bring this up mostly because as a creative, I think I love creating on the go a lot and creating where I can. And that's one reason, so I've even done sometimes some of my rough animations for logo animation and other things like that. Yeah. Just on my phone with Rough Animator, because Rough Animator is the only one out of all the animation apps that allows for mobile phone versus just iPad. And I wish some of these others would allow a little bit more in there.
There's one other, Flip-a-Clip is on the phone too.
And I have that, but it's not as
robust and
not as robust for my needs. But no, the only reason I like that is because that allows me to create anywhere at any time, and because not all my best ideas pop into my head when I'm in front of my computer. My best ideas sometimes pop in my head when I'm in the shower. Too bad I can't have electronics in the shower unless, but maybe someday we'll be plugged into the, Google Glass, Google Ear. I don't know.
Or you'll just have one of your walls will just be a smart wall in the shower and you can just start doodling on it.
And save it and send it. Yeah. Perfect. But no, and that's one reason, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I really hope more and more development comes to where it can be just as easy to accomplish some of our creative work at the desk as well as on the go with our phone or with our iPads and stuff, tablets, to almost feel like it's a seamless, there's no difference between being on a laptop or a desktop. Of course, I would want there to still be a difference of power.
Yeah.
But, with a desktop, making that sure that that's like truly my powerhouse to get something done, but that I can still get just as much leverage out of a mobile device on the go.
I think short of
capture those creative moments.
Short of creating an interface with your brain and tapping into it hands-free that way, I think what's going to do that for us better than anything is going to be this Apple AR glasses. Because they're supposed to be something you wear all the time. They're supposed to be an iPhone killer. You're just gonna. And I think they might even have them look fairly close to just a normal set of frames, But what you can do is you can navigate with your eyes, like look at something, move it over. I
need to look at this. I haven't heard of anything since Google Glass and how that kind of fell apart.
It'll track your hand movements. You can look at the tabletop and tell it to bring up a keyboard. You're seeing it. You're typing on the tabletop with your fingers. It's tracking that. I can picture it doing the same thing with drawing on a table. It's tracking where your hands are, so you could so you're seeing something going on and it just looks like you're just, make believe on a tabletop. And then the same thing with the VR modeling type of stuff. Do that in AR without controllers. You're just doing hand motions, and I'm guessing I'm saying within 2-3 years we're gonna
do that.
We're gonna see some groundbreaking stuff in that department.
I hope so. that's one of the things that I've also been. I'm so happy to be alive at this time to experience this technology, but then I'm also kind of sad that at some point, you know, in the future, they're going to have, you know, better advancements that I'm going to be jealous of.
Well, I don't know if you've been hearing about what they're doing with extending life and basically turning back the clock on your body.
That's a whole nother basket of monkeys we could get into. But
I remember our former CMO and good British buddy Don would always talk about, you know, the first person to live to 150 has already been born. And you know, and this was 5 years ago he was talking about this. I think that it's just going to explode. This ability to, you know, whether you're using stem cells or you're just getting in there and kind of reprogramming your cells to regenerate themselves like they did when you were young. And
well, speaking of AI, they've found ways to use AI to track cancer better than anybody else, right? And so medical advancements are getting crazy, and I've experienced a lot of that firsthand, just in my family with things, but not to get into details, but you know. And it's been crazy just in the few years of starting a family to see how much medical advancements has also come along those ways. But again, more conversations. I don't want to necessarily open up another can of worms here.
I think we've already been going for over an hour. This is going to have the record for the longest podcast up to this point, which is okay.
I was hoping we'd be so short. It would be like the water cooler discussion.
Well, these are a couple of not very productive employees around their watercolor. They're a little too long, huh?
Absolutely.
I took the day off. People settle down. It's late for Trevor. It's his own time.
Absolutely.
But no, it's an exciting time to be alive, and it's an exciting time to be a creative.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. We need to not fear these things, like we were saying towards the start, and just keep moving forward and keep creating.
Just accept the fact that now the bar has been risen, and so now there's a whole another level that we all get to go obtain that we didn't even think is possible, and new jobs that haven't even been thought of that'll be that much more satisfying than the ones we're doing now.
Absolutely. And hey, I am serious. I'm going to chat with you practically weekly to make sure that I steal knowledge from you about something I may not know, like remix and or
vice
give
versa.
You knowledge. Yeah, exactly. So that we can just be much further along, you know, quickly than otherwise.
That's the key. Share that knowledge, and we'll make everyone better. All boats will rise. So,
well, thanks for your time, Mike.
Yeah, thank you, Trevor. Appreciate you staying up late. Well, what'd you think? Do you like what we had to say about AI? Is that something we should embrace or do our best to avoid? You let us know in the comments. We love to hear from you. Until next time, my friends, keep on creating. Create or die.